My boyfriend was so picky about the Valentine's Day gift I gave him, so I turned him into an ex-boyfriend. Later, I saw some gossip about a company founder rummaging through trash cans at night. He claimed to be looking for the Valentine's Day gift his wife gave him. I nervously watched Howard as he opened the mechanical keyboard I got him, hoping for a positive reaction. He glanced at the brand on the box, furrowed his brows slightly, then quickly composed himself and politely thanked me. "But next time you buy these digital products, ask me first. You don't understand these things and might get a bad deal." I forced a smile and joked, "Is this keyboard not good?" I thought. I tried to explain that Eric recommended it, saying you wanted this keyboard, but Howard interrupted me. "Don't listen to stuff online. Their marketing is strong, but the product quality may not be. The keycap material." Howard seemed about to explain further, but he paused, looking at me. Then he sighed slightly. "Forget it. Even if I explain, you wouldn't understand. In short, it's not worth the price. Your salary is low, no need to buy this keyboard. Just return it." Howard's phone rang, indicating an emergency at the company. He answered, frowned, then apologized to me after hanging up. "Sorry, there's a bug. Eric can't handle it, so I have to go back and take a look." "No problem, go ahead, work is important." I smiled understandingly as usual. Before leaving, Howard gave me a routine hug, saying the holiday was just a formality, and when he had free time, he would take me to a candlelight dinner. I jokingly teased him, "And 99 roses, too." Howard agreed without hesitation. However, he forgot that he promised me last week to take me out for a big dinner this Valentine's Day and get me a big bouquet of flowers. I took a few bites of food and started cleaning up the table. Maybe he used to want this keyboard, and now he prefers a different brand. Howard's company was in a busy growth phase, so it was normal for him to be busy. When I was in PR, I also faced many emergencies without complaints. Moreover, he gave me a designer bag, which was much more expensive than the keyboard. I checked the price difference on my phone and calculated it to be 2 months' worth of my salary. I let out a worldly wise yet dejected smile. I sighed deeply, cleaned the table again, but the plate slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. I squatted to pick up the pieces, but my finger got a deep cut. I stared blankly at the bleeding finger, then hurried to find a band-aid to stop the bleeding. As the blood soaked through it quickly, my hand was covered in blood. I took a deep breath, wrapped the wound with a tissue, and took a taxi to the hospital for emergency treatment. Registering, waiting in line, everything went smoothly. While in line, I overheard a young couple's conversation. The guy apparently injured his hand while cooking, regretted it, and they ended up spending Valentine's Day in the hospital. She comforted him, "It's okay, Valentine's Day is just a formality. As long as we want, every day can be Valentine's Day." Blushing, the guy whispered, "But, can I use today to tell you once again how much I love you?" He leaned in and whispered something in her ear, making her smile sweetly. Lost in thought, I realized that in our 5-year relationship, I had only heard Howard say he liked me during the confession. Due to Howard's overly rational nature, he rarely expressed emotions, which seemed so natural to him. He believed holidays like Valentine's Day were just marketing gimmicks for consumption. This dinner date was his way of making up for not meeting me for so long, as he had been busy with a new project and spent most nights at the office. During this period, I visited his office, bringing him meals. I unintentionally overheard his employees gossiping about me. Squinting, he uncomfortably said, "Howard's girlfriend is quite pretty, right? She does PR, but which kind?" The call number interrupted my memories. I got up to see the doctor, who said I needed 4 stitches. I nodded, trying to stay calm. However, when the time for stitching came and the doctor asked if I came alone, my emotions suddenly overwhelmed me, and tears started flowing uncontrollably. I meant to say I was fine, but I started crying as soon as I opened my mouth. Feeling embarrassed, I gave in to the despair, wailing loudly, startling the doctor. "1 stitch left, we're almost done. Why cry so much?" The female doctor tried to chat with me while stitching, to distract me, but my unexpected outburst caught her off guard. Why was I crying? Was it because Howard forgot to book the restaurant he had verbally promised for our Valentine's Day date? Or was it because he was called back to work, leaving me to spend Valentine's Day alone? Or was it because the needle for the stitches hurt too much? It's okay, every problem has a solution. I can cook our favorite dishes, and Howard promised to make up for the missed date in a couple of days. I'm a mature adult, past the age of arguing with Howard, and I can go to the hospital for stitches on my own. I can tell myself it's okay countless times, find excuses for Howard. But a casual question from a stranger shattered the lies I was telling myself. I finally saw myself in a pitiful state through the eyes of others. Many times, when I needed him, my boyfriend of 5 years was absent. As my emotions stabilized, trying to explain my breakdown, all I could blurt out was, "I have a boyfriend." The doctor made a sound, acknowledging my confession, and then changed the subject, telling me to extend my hand for bandaging before leaving. She gave me some instructions and I sniffed back my tears, feeling a bit embarrassed about my emotional outburst. I thanked the doctor repeatedly before heading home. Before entering the house, I paused. Howard hadn't returned yet. The house, filled with traces of our life together, brought conflicting thoughts to my mind. To avoid thinking too much, I busied myself with cleaning up the remaining dishes. With nothing left to distract me, I sat down and absent-mindedly scrolled through social media on my phone. That's when I saw Eric's recent update half an hour ago. The picture shows him rolling his eyes in front of the computer, with his colleagues working overtime behind him. Howard is right next to him, wearing glasses and focusing on the computer. Eric is Howard's cousin, who worked on projects with Howard during college and naturally joined Howard's company after graduation. When preparing the gift, I secretly asked Eric's opinion. Eric recommended a mechanical keyboard, saying that his brother mentioned wanting to change keyboards before. In Howard's eyes, I always seem like a stylish but silly person. I tend to follow trends, easily fooled, doing what he considers unstable work, and barely making a living with my salary. He doesn't understand technical jargon, doesn't care about specifications, and during school, he struggled with science, so he avoids talking to me about his interests. He thinks it's unnecessary to talk to me about these things and prefers to communicate with knowledgeable people to get efficient information. This was Howard's response when I discussed communication issues with him before. He pushed his glasses up his nose, then slightly lowered his head to look at me because of his height, and politely asked me, "Is this not good? You're not interested in those data, right?" I wanted to say something but couldn't argue back. Howard always seems to be right. He's very smart, excelling academically, being admitted to an elite university, starting a project with classmates, attracting investors, and with a comfortable background. His parents supported him in starting his own business after graduation. Howard was born to be looked up to. His cousin Eric once jokingly said Howard was his idol since childhood, saying he would follow him for life. I am also one of his admirers. Because of a casual college gathering, I ended up talking with Howard about relationships. Only after we started dating did I realize how outstanding he really was. It's strange, I used to enjoy reading stories where there was a stark contrast between the good and the not-so-good student falling in love, but being with him made me feel uneasy. Before telling him about my academic background, I secretly searched online if it's possible for a couple with a big education gap to be together. When I finally mustered the courage to tell Howard I went to an ordinary university, he just said, "Oh," and then continued to buy movie tickets. Is there anything you wanted to say? I wasn't from their school. My close friend dragged me to the gathering, and I was worried that he might misunderstand and think I attended a prestigious university. Howard squinted in confusion, seemingly trying to figure out what I meant. So, should I take care of our children's studies in the future? I blushed at Howard's question. We had only been together for a week, and physical contact was limited to holding hands. All right then, I stepped forward and tightly grasped Howard's hand. Perhaps Howard will never know that he gave me the courage to pursue him that day. There have been gossips and doubts, but I believe I can ignore these slight stings as long as I continue to improve. One day, I will not just look up to Howard, but proudly stand by his side. At 20, looking at 22-year-old Howard, I was full of admiration and love. But now, loving Howard has made me feel exhausted. I have to admit that Howard and I started from different places, and my efforts can't match his genius. Graduating from college, I joined a decent public relations company with my accumulated creative work. However, my starting position determined that my salary was far lower than Howard's, who was already the company's founder. Starting work was busy, and I had to learn everything. Overworking was the norm in public relations, and Howard felt that this job was unstable. Although he respected my choice and supported me in starting my own business, he subtly expressed his hope that I would switch to a more cost-effective profession. Although I was the fastest promoted newcomer in our company, and my salary had doubled, it seemed like no matter how hard I tried to move forward, I was still standing in place in his eyes. Moreover, I am becoming more and more weary of this relationship. I am Howard's first love, which surprises many people. They use a tone like I've won the most brilliant cabbage in the world. Howard is not great at love, maybe because he doesn't need to please others. He straightforwardly analyzes to me how certain couple behaviors are unnecessary or even foolish. His rationality makes my desire to add excitement to our relationship seem like I'm being unreasonable. But luckily, he knows another golden rule of love, that the girlfriend is always right. Howard is intelligent, so he learns quickly in everything, including love. He's like a robot. I input the codes, and he executes romantic acts correctly and on time, like giving me a hug before going out, giving me gifts on Valentine's Day, or bringing flowers when we meet. These actions seem like they are commands in a system, rather than coming from emotions. When he gave me the same brand and type of bag every Valentine's Day for 5 years, I looked at Howard's calm eyes and had a strange thought: could Howard really be a robot? After spending 5 years realizing I couldn't teach Howard to love, I also understand that love alone cannot bridge the gap between us. Tears fell on my phone screen, blurring the image of Howard. In that moment, I made up my mind. I wanted to break up with Howard. In the late afternoon the next day, while I was setting up my new home, Howard called. I deleted Howard's contact information after we broke up last night, found a familiar real estate agent to look for a new house early in the morning, and hired a moving company in the afternoon. I expected Howard to check his messages only after he finished his work. The phone rang earlier than I expected, so I took a deep breath and answered the call. "Where are you?" Howard's usual direct style came through the phone, sounding tired. I tried to sound calm. "We broke up, so I moved out." He paused for a moment, then asked me, "Why did we break up?" I had many reasons, but I picked the most recent one. Because I don't want a boyfriend who can't see breakup messages until a day later. Howard fell silent on the other end of the phone, contemplating our relationship that had been problematic for a long time. I patiently waited for his response for the last time. "Is it just because of that?" Howard's perplexity sounded naive and cruel to me. He let out a sigh and softened his tone. "As I've said before, you can call me directly if it's urgent. It's convenient. I get busy and don't check messages often." His words amused me. I shouldn't have expected Howard to reflect on his behavior. I didn't listen to what he said next. I just hung up the phone and blocked his number. Looking for a new house and moving out within a day exhausted me. After quickly tidying up the room, I went to bed early and fell asleep, only to be woken up in the middle of the night by knocking on the door. My annoyance at being woken up outweighed the fear of someone knocking on the door late at night. I walked over there full of anger and shouted impatiently, "Who is it?" Through the peephole, I saw my ex-boyfriend Howard standing there. "It's me, Howard." I regretted yelling so loudly, and now I couldn't pretend to be asleep. "What's up in the middle of the night?" I was already asleep. I opened the door halfway, sounding unfriendly. "How did you know I live here?" "I can report you for harassment." Using some reasonable and legal deduction, I figured you would find a familiar real estate agent who I don't know. To find a house, the best way was to go to the colleague recommended by Sam, even though it took a while to get the contact information. Sam was the real estate agent we had met before. I didn't tell him about finding a new house this time because we broke up. He probably still thought we were together. Seeing Howard ready to elaborate on his reasoning, I rudely cut him off. "Got it, so why are you here?" Howard immediately fell silent. After a while, he lowered his eyes and took out a bouquet of roses from behind him. He was trying to surprise me. I didn't take them, making the already awkward atmosphere even more uncomfortable. He explained in a low voice, "It's late today, and the flower shop is about to close, so I could only get this many roses. There are number 99 roses, just these for now." I looked into Howard's eyes and asked him, "Are you here just to give me flowers?" Howard's eyes shifted for a moment, then he seemed to remember something, speaking with more confidence, "And a mechanical keyboard. To get back my Valentine's Day gift I threw it away." I said calmly, "I didn't bother returning it, I just threw it away when moving." Howard frowned, obviously disapproving of my actions. "Don't be so impulsive, anyway." Eric mentioned the keyboard issue, and I realized I had some problems. I didn't consider your feelings from the perspective of the gift giver. As for not replying to messages. As soon as he said anyway, a wave of anger surged through me. "Howard." I interrupted his self-reflection, paused for a second, then looked him straight in the eye. "I broke up with you because you don't reply to messages. Have you read our chat history? It's always me sending a few messages, and you replying after a long time. When we first started dating, we discussed this. You said you're busy and don't often check messages, and in case of an emergency, a call was better. Those cute cat videos were fun, but you never know how to respond. I think everyone has a different personality, and I don't mind being the more expressive one. But I realized belatedly that I don't feel like sending you things I find interesting anymore. Gradually, I feel it's unnecessary. Last month when I talked to you about this, I noticed our relationship was becoming dull. You mentioned that we've been in love for 5 years, and the dopamine that sparks love peaks in 6 months, then gradually decreases, usually lasting up to 4 years, so it's normal for us. You talk scientifically, you're right, but even in our first year of being in love, your responses were scarce, as if I was the only one deeply in love. I could overlook not liking the gifts I gave, not replying to my messages, forgetting to book a Valentine's Day restaurant because you were busy. I could let those things go. But, Howard, love just fades away like that. Looking at Howard's face, it was undeniable that the present Howard was better than the one at 23, but I couldn't feel any excitement anymore. There have been too many similar incidents, and now that you've finished your tasks and have plenty of time, thinking of me, coming over to make up for Valentine's Day, but I'm tired from moving today and I have to work tomorrow. Why is it, Howard, that I always have to accommodate you? I'm tired, really. I couldn't hold back my tears, they fell. I took a deep breath, and paused. Howard, I used to admire you, thinking you knew everything. My boyfriend is so amazing. But now, when it comes to loving you, I feel exhausted. I don't want to love you anymore. Howard, I asked you to buy flowers to apologize, but I didn't ask you to come now. Eric yawned at me and said, disturbing people in the middle of the night. It's no wonder Amy won't forgive you. No, that's not it. I anxiously gestured in the air, and then she said she's tired of loving me, doesn't want to love me anymore. After Amy finished talking, I left on my own accord because she seemed genuinely tired and needed to rest. When I saw her crying, an unprecedented sense of unease rose in me. Things had spiraled out of my control. I couldn't make a decision. She cried so sadly, and I felt like I should do something, but my body froze, and I couldn't even speak. Subconsciously, I knew my voice would hurt her. In the end, I awkwardly said, I'm leaving, you can close the door. After leaving, I regretted a bit. I should have at least told her, stop crying. It shouldn't have been like this. Desperate to find a solution, I knocked on my cousin Eric's door in the middle of the night. I tried to narrate what had just happened between me and Amy from an outsider's perspective. After hearing everything, Eric asked for my phone, quickly scrolled through our chat history, then looked up with his features twisted in confusion. Howard, how long have you been like this? I answered truthfully, it's been like this all along. Any problem? Do you like Amy? I looked at him with an expression as if asking a trivial question. Of course. Eric scratched his head, his expression resembling a teacher dealing with a troublesome student. I'll be honest, from what you told me earlier, I don't sense that you really like Amy. During the day, you were telling me about the keyboard issue, and I thought Amy was upset because you didn't give her a good gift. Now it seems like Amy broke up with you because she didn't get a response. In a relationship, you have to provide emotional value to her, show with actions that you appreciate her feelings. Even if you reluctantly complimented the keyboard, it would still be a response. I sat quietly, digesting Eric's advice. Love is not like a math problem with a standard answer. My mind was a mess, trying to find the root of the problem. It's all right. Amy likes you so much, even when so many people gave her a hard time, she didn't give up. Just talk to her sincerely, show Amy that you care, she will forgive you for sure. Gave her a hard time? I keenly caught onto this phrase. Eric realized he misspoke, and under my questioning, he reluctantly told me some things. Others thought she was clinging to me. When she came to school to see me, she was deliberately given the wrong directions, and someone bluntly said she wasn't good enough for me. In the early days of starting a business, some people would intentionally discuss professional matters she couldn't understand in front of her, pretending to ask for her opinion and then asking her to go order food and clean up. Eric lowered his head, looking increasingly guilty as he spoke. I was immature before, thought you being so capable, your girlfriend had to match. So when I first saw Amy, I was a bit disappointed. I didn't say anything about Amy, but I didn't help her when others gave her a hard time. I'm sorry. In an instant, even breathing felt difficult. My heart felt like it was being maliciously squeezed. I was just a bystander. How hurt must she have been at that time? Why should she have to endure all that? I dug my nails into my palm to regain composure. Throat parched, I said firmly, you should apologize not to me, but to Amy. I later apologized to her. I was immature then. Amy said it was okay. It is not okay. I cut Eric off. The year-end bonus is cancelled, starting from this month. Your salary is cut by 30%. When you finish practicing 500 LeetCode questions, we will consider restoring it. Learn to fix your bugs. If you still need my help for that, what am I hiring you for? I gave a cold look to Eric, who stood frozen in place, his mouth opening and closing without speaking a word, shoulders slumping. I ignored him and left. One more thing. I turned back after a moment. Initially, I was the one pursuing her. I'm determined to remove Howard from my life. And that's how Howard's video went viral. Videos of him rummaging through trash were everywhere. The footage was shot by a nocturnal game streamer. Howard scared him while the streamer was taking out the trash late at night. Seizing the opportunity, the streamer went live to amuse viewers. What are you looking for so late at night? I'm looking for the Valentine's Day gift my wife gave me, a mechanical keyboard in a black box. Have you seen it? This clip inexplicably went viral. Comments talked about how funny it was that Howard was searching through trash while asking seriously about his girlfriend's Valentine's Day gift. The internet was flooded with such short videos, with users getting creative and humorous. And then it was revealed that Howard was a prominent tech company founder, adding another layer to the buzz. In the meeting room, the brand manager of the keyboard showcased the online buzz, wiping sweat off his forehead. Currently, the public perception of the keyboard is this. We aim to diffuse the negative perception and ideally capitalize on this trend. If possible, promote it. The sooner we have a plan, the better. Just need a document. Suppressing my tumultuous emotions, I calmly replied, of course, we will have a draft by 12. I understand now what it means to shoot oneself in the foot. I had not thrown away that keyboard, it was in my new place, unused by Howard or me. In the heat of the moment, I had told Howard to get rid of it. Now I had to handle the aftermath of this joke. Presenting the PR plan we had collectively discussed, I watched the faces of the clients, they didn't look too satisfied. It was okay, but lacking a bit of a spark. How about this? I raised my voice slightly, breaking the monotony in the conference room. Since the negative public opinion is that the keyboard price is high, let's release a statement admitting that our keyboards are indeed expensive. The keyboard we selected is one of the most high-end models, not the mainstream model. We can explain to the public about the reasons for the high price, such as the cost of tooling and the screwless all-button production process. But the most expensive thing is the thoughtfulness of the gift giver, the sense of accomplishment in treating oneself, the drive to achieve a goal with this keyboard. The most precious thing is the meaning that each user gives to our keyboard. Of course, we will reorganize the language a bit, and at the end we can briefly mention other popular keyboard styles, highlight their advantages, and welcome everyone to try them out with a 7-day no-reason return policy. Seeing the excitement in the customer's eyes, I knew this plan worked. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, I heard the excited voice of a customer. Great. Do you think there's any other way we can collaborate with Howard? He encouraged us. Think freely. I raised an eyebrow and without hesitation blurted out, there is discussion online that Howard upset his girlfriend, so, based on our keyboard's features, we could publish a kneeling keyboard guide, challenge Howard to tell us what keyboard he likes, and we'll send it to him for free. Maybe he can make a video of kneeling to the keyboard? Perhaps I spoke too smoothly, and the idea was too audacious. Everyone in the meeting room was stunned after hearing it. The boss was the first to react and sternly rebuked me. Amy. My colleague Anna quickly intervened, changing to a more casual tone. Amy, they asked you to think freely, not to go wild with ideas. I immediately built on Anna's intervention and apologized to the customer. I'm sorry, that was just my bold idea, unrelated to the company. Besides, his ex-girlfriend may not even want to forgive him. The customer chuckled, waved it off, and said with a smile, if we put aside Howard's identity, the idea does sound interesting. Let's start with the direction of the open letter as you mentioned. The feedback from the public was even better than imagined. I really like the line, thank you to every user. It's you who give it meaning, making it stand out. I didn't know I was so important. The boss came over with a delighted face, saying the customer was very satisfied, and keyboard sales had surged. He suggested capitalizing on this success by getting the brand to contact Howard's company and create another big event. The boss was highly enthusiastic and said to follow my idea, to have Howard publicly apologize to his ex-girlfriend across all platforms, with the brand advocating for him. They planned a lottery where 99 lucky participants would receive a keyboard with each purchase. Then, they would have the ex-girlfriend and Howard go live together, leading to a heartwarming reunion after Howard found the A-brand keyboard she gave him. Our team was quiet after hearing all this. A speechless silence filled the room. I frowned, feeling uncomfortable, but given the boss's position, I managed a smile and said, I just threw the idea out there. But who knows what will happen, right? And the coordination might not go very smoothly. The boss shrugged off my concerns and waved his hand dismissively. I have insider information. The truth is almost the same as what's online. Howard is just making a scene. Isn't it all just a publicity stunt? I silently thought to myself, where did he get this insider information from? I, as the person involved, don't even know. But Anna, always outspoken, pointed out plainly, this is emotional manipulation. What if Howard is actually a bad person and the ex-girlfriend doesn't want to forgive him? I have a friend who was Howard's senior in college and knows his ex-girlfriend. She said that girl has been dating him for a long time. Her circumstances aren't great, and she won't find someone with good hardware conditions like Eric again. Eventually, she will forgive him. The boss spoke convincingly, but I found the whole situation absurd and almost laughable. Just as I was about to retort, the boss's phone rang. He had a customer calling. Think of some new ideas. I'll try to get in touch and see if we can collaborate with Howard's company. By the way, Amy, the client is very satisfied and I have high hopes for you, the boss said before leaving. After he left, Anna told us to forget about it and not to worry about the boss. Anna had followed the boss in starting up the business, so she had the confidence to make decisions. He's just too obsessed with creating sensational stories these days. Let's focus on our current tasks, Anna said with a sigh and quickly resumed working. When I returned to my desk, the receptionist informed me that someone was looking for me, claiming to be from Howard's company. The person wore a mask and was tall, carrying a big bunch of flowers. My heart skipped a beat. Seeing the familiar figure, I felt a pang of anxiety creeping up my temples. Howard was sitting at the front desk with a large bundle of roses. As soon as he saw me, he stood up, but I spoke first. Follow me. I was feeling quite uneasy. Just when you try to let go of the past and start fresh, someone comes and disrupts all your plans, which feels terrible. I led Howard to an empty staircase. Just as he settled in, Howard took off his mask and handed me the bouquet of flowers, evoking a mix of emotions within me. He said earnestly, "As promised, here are the 99 roses I'm giving you." Despite all the chaos outside, he still remembered to give me a bouquet of flowers. Howard, with the face of an unknowing capitalist, looked even more despicable beneath the beautiful roses. The PR worker who was handling the mess he created didn't have a good expression. I spoke harshly, "Howard, do you even know what's going on?" Howard lowered his gaze, looking suddenly sorrowful and helpless. "You want to break up with me?" "I mean, you're referring to the keyboard issue." Howard gave a slight nod, appearing unusually nervous. "I'm sorry, I didn't find it." "I'm really sorry." He looked into my eyes, sincere to the point of stubbornness, apologizing for many things. I was stunned, feeling a bit at a loss. I wasn't emotionally prepared to just brush it off and say it's all in the past. This apology came so suddenly. After 5 years of being together, I thought he would come back to me. Knowing Howard, I expected him to calmly discuss the pros and cons of breaking up, talking about the high sunk costs and the natural decline of dopamine. I even rehearsed in my mind leaving before he finished his analysis, but I didn't expect him to start with an apology. Maybe it's because I'm at work now, my brain is functioning quickly and rationally, unlike at night when emotions take over. I turned my face away, stayed silent, then sighed. "Let's call it quits, Howard. When we were together, I felt inferior because your education and abilities were much better than mine. I was so insecure, trying to please you and those around you. Our relationship was rushed, and I was always unsure about it. I realized I needed to improve myself, to show my worth to everyone. So, I was willing to do any favor asked of me, to compensate for your lack of emotions, and to ask for less to make myself seem worthy of you. You weren't wrong, but your love was too rational, too patterned. When I mentioned flowers, you always got the same kind. You were either obedient or indifferent, and I couldn't figure out which. Do you remember our first argument? I fell during a college sports class, and you asked if I had put medicine on it. After that, we didn't talk about it. You didn't understand why I was upset, saying that asking about the wound wouldn't heal it magically, putting medicine on it was enough. I later realized you were right and apologized first. Yesterday I hurt my hand, and I felt I didn't need to involve you. I could manage it alone, just like fixing bugs. You would choose to focus on work, right, Howard? Howard listened with a furrowed brow, not denying what I said. I smiled, realizing how good you are at maximizing benefits. But now, I don't want to be with you anymore. Rather than finding the best solutions to each problem with you, I prefer doing childish and boring things alone. The 20-year-old Amy might have appreciated your flowers, but not me now. We're not wrong, we just had different perspectives on love. You should go, you shouldn't be here right now. I turned away and said businesslike, I threw the keyboard in my trash can at home. I was impulsive yesterday. If your company's PR needs it, have your staff contact me. Howard kept silent, probably not used to such rejection. It felt like an eternity before he cautiously said, I can learn. I can change to be what you like. He lowered his head and handed me the flowers, awkwardly trying to convince me, you know, I'm smart. I can quickly become what you like. Can you teach me again, please? I pushed the flowers back and said bitterly, it's not necessary, Howard. Love can't be taught. He looked like he wanted to say something more, but the flowers kept shifting between us as the door to the stairwell suddenly opened. The usually composed Anna, upon seeing which couple was having a private meeting in the stairwell, showed a surprised expression. But then quickly understood, raised a hand with a cigarette in it, gesturing, you two talk, I'll go somewhere else to smoke. She took a step back, even considerately closing the door behind me as I firmly pushed Howard away, saying, go away. Don't disturb my work. I walked away, ignoring him. I asked other colleagues, then found Anna on the balcony smoking. Before I could speak, Anna started first, sorry for stumbling upon your secret. She didn't probe further, casually continuing, let me share a secret with you. I don't want to work with Samuel anymore. I've built some connections in another city and plan to start a PR company there. She then turned serious, looking at me. Amy, do you want to be my partner? I didn't immediately answer, and she didn't press for one. I was brought up by Anna, and our years of working together gave us an understanding of the current tasks at hand. It was late into the night, and I still had one more draft to oversee. I told Anna to go home early, and I would finish up later. Anna readily accepted, saying, "Okay, come in a bit later tomorrow. I'll inform HR. I'll tell the receptionist you're here to discuss a project. No matter how good-looking a pair of shoes is, only the wearer knows if they are comfortable. Uncomfortable shoes should just be discarded." Anna patted my shoulder, saying, "I've been in this industry for so many years, and you're the one I have the highest hopes for. I'm really looking forward to your future." Understanding Anna's sentiments, I felt touched. I straightened my back and assured her, "Don't worry, Anna. I've let go of all burdens, and now I have to run fast." But then, my burdens came knocking on the door. At 1 in the morning, exhausted, I climbed the stairs to return home. The motion sensor lights in the hallway turned on, revealing a figure leaning against my door. I gasped in shock and stepped back when I realized it was Howard. I breathed a sigh of relief but was also filled with anger. "What are you doing here?" I asked sharply. "I've come to pick up the keyboard," he replied. "It's needed for PR work." "Yes, it's needed for PR work," he repeated, this time with more assurance. I couldn't argue with that reason, so I warned him, "You stay at the door, I'll get it for you, and then you leave." The tension was palpable as Howard took the keyboard but hesitated. "Howard," I emphasized, "I have work in the morning and no time to play with you. What do you want?" Sensing my frustration, Howard looked down, his mouth moving hesitantly before finally speaking. "I don't need your forgiveness, and I'm not worthy of being with you again. I will learn to be better on my own. I'll be here waiting for you." Howard tightly hugged the rectangular keyboard, looking a bit ridiculous, with a hint of unrealistic expectation in his eyes. "Can you turn around and look at me occasionally?" I asked, as I closed the door expressionlessly. The next day, Anna woke me up with a phone call. Since I could arrive late due to overtime, I set the alarm later than usual. Anna got straight to the point. "Have you seen the hot search? People online are saying that the keyboard incident is a stunt by you and Howard." I immediately woke up, browsing social media while talking to Anna. A blogger claimed that Howard, who recently gained fame for looking for a wife gift, went to a woman's house late at night for a chat. This woman is said to be an employee of a well-known PR company, allegedly the one responsible for the PR statement about the keyboard. Sources in the industry revealed that Howard is indeed aggressively pursuing this woman. In conclusion, the blogger questioned, is Howard putting up a show to please the girl and fooling the netizens? Along with a few blurry photos, including one of Howard outside my house yesterday. The comments about me were mostly negative. Anna warned me that the public opinion was leaning towards suggesting that Howard was putting up a show for my sake. She reminded me, "The public opinion is turning against you now. I'm not sure if it's Howard's PR team behind this. Get ready to respond quickly. I can issue a clarification on behalf of the company if needed." After cursing softly, Anna took a deep breath and continued, "Amy, listen to me. I just got a message from that jerk, Samuel. He fired you and cleared your data from the system. You can't enter the company anymore. He asked everyone to prepare for a live stream response in the office. Reportedly, people from Howard's company will also be there, probably collaborating with them." She paused for a moment and asked, "Are you okay?" I replied with a hoarse voice, "Yeah." I took a sip of water from the bedside table, forcing myself to stay calm. It wasn't the time to dwell on negative emotions. I needed to focus on finding a solution. "I'm preparing proof of the unjustified termination. Can you find out their response content for me to prepare the documents? I have a few media friends here." "I'll contact them too," I told Anna. She sighed in relief, promising to keep me updated with the progress. Anna assured me, "You can file for arbitration for compensation later. I believe your next employer will support your arbitration, just like a boss like me." I felt the warmth in Anna's words, holding onto my phone tightly. "Thank you, Anna," I said gratefully. Before logging off, Anna advised me cryptically, "I know you're a good girl. But when someone has crossed the line, you don't need to be that graceful. I didn't reply. Despite whatever personal issues I had with Howard, I couldn't believe he would stoop so low. Anna sent a message, the live stream will start in half an hour. Samuel is ready with the content, and Howard is on his way. This doesn't seem like a last-minute arrangement. It must have been planned ahead. The reality forced me to consider the worst intentions. I shuddered involuntarily. Maybe coming with flowers was a charade to make it seem like he was pursuing me. Maybe showing up at my place in the wee hours for the keyboard was all fake. Perhaps every word Howard said was a lie. Overwhelmed by pessimism, I shook myself out of it. Amy, you need to act fast. I quickly headed to the live stream, ready to scrutinize every word they said. Sometimes, to face the abyss, you have to jump right into it. Anna sent a zip file with a brief message. Check it out quickly. I opened it and my eyes lit up. As the live stream began, Samuel, dressed sharply, admitted that the rumored leading lady in the controversy was an employee of their company, claiming ignorance of her personal life. He emphasized the company's respect for employee privacy, disclaiming any encouragement of unprofessional behavior. Samuel took the opportunity to announce the termination of the involved employee. He managed to navigate the situation skillfully, not only setting boundaries but also garnering public support for the company's stance on maintaining professional conduct in the industry. However, his well-prepared speech was based on defaming me. I analyzed the live stream calmly, typing rapidly on the keyboard. I wouldn't let myself be falsely accused without a fight. Glancing at his phone, Samuel smoothly transitioned the spotlight to Howard, who, with a composed expression, took out photos from different times and showcased pictures of him alongside a blurred-out woman. The employee Samuel mentioned earlier is my girlfriend of 5 years. These are some photos from our 5-year relationship. We are just ordinary people, not seeking publicity but not hiding either. Just as Samuel just said, they respect employees' privacy and are not aware of their emotional lives. That's why no one in Samuel's company knew about me and her relationship. She has taken on many projects solely based on her abilities, like the highly talked about project she led last year. The smile on Samuel's face froze as I mentioned my question. We broke up on Valentine's Day because of my actions, and I wanted to win her back. So, I went to the trash can to find the gift I had thrown away because of me. I apologize for causing such a big commotion and even involving the keyboard brand. I asked for details about the situation at their company, which was the top choice at the time in the local PR industry. Samuel had sent out the company's elite team to handle the project. Howard laid it out plainly, but there was a hint of mockery towards Samuel in his tone. By then, she and I were no longer involved. As a professional, she had no reason to reject a project just because of an ex-boyfriend. She could perform exceptionally well on her own. As for late-night chats, it was because she only got off work and went home at that time. The keyboard was lost and ended up in her home's trash can, so I came up with an excuse to see her by pretending to want the keyboard. There was no hype involved, it was my unilateral actions. I want to apologize to her again here and ask everyone to bear witness that I won't cause her any more distress in the future. I also personally funded the purchase of 10,000 computers and keyboards, which will be donated to Hope Elementary School. I will provide a list of donations once they are completed, and I welcome oversight. Howard spoke with sincerity, exuding an aura that made people believe him. Lastly, I implore everyone not to bother her anymore or spread her personal information. Howard's tone became grave, his eyes sharp as he warned that any malicious defamation against him would face legal consequences, pointing his gaze towards the sweaty Samuel beside him. At the same time, I pressed the button to publish the blog post. Hello, everyone. I am the one who was involved in the keyboard rumor that circulated online. I had a romantic relationship with Mr. Howard in the past, but it had ended before I took on the project. So, the claims of a blogger that Howard and I were stirring up rumors together are not true. Taking on this project, I must admit there was a bit of personal gain on my part. I always had a fondness for the brand of the keyboard, which is why I chose it as a gift initially. Seeing the trending news today, I, like everyone else, found it absurd. But what was even more absurd was that this whole drama was orchestrated by my former boss, Samuel, along with the blogger, as evidenced by their chat records. Samuel was eager to blow this event out of proportion. When he found out that someone from Howard's company was coming that day, he mistakenly thought Howard coming with flowers to see me meant there was a story there. He then followed me after work, took photos of me and Howard, fabricated stories, and framed me. And why did he try to slander me? Because he couldn't afford to offend Howard when fabricating the dirt, he tactfully portrayed Howard as a man being used. As for me, I was an easier target, and with her recent prominence, it was an opportunity to make her face some hardship. Even if she clarifies her relationship with Howard later, I can pretend to apologize to her, inviting her back to work in the company, and use it for PR buzz. These were all exact words from Samuel and the blogger's conversation. Howard, so-called respect for employee privacy, was merely tracking and fabricating dirt on employees to gain traffic? His supposed support for industry development was actually smearing and suppressing employees, violating industry standards? In addition, I was unreasonably fired by the company. I will seek labor arbitration for that. For Samuel's personal defamation against me, I will take legal action to protect my rights. Since graduating from college, I have been working in the public relations industry, which is a challenging job, but I have encountered many mentors and friends who have helped me along the way. The kindness I've received has far outweighed the malice. To me, public relations is like having an honest conversation with the public. This blog post is my form of public relations, and I thank you for listening. After the post was published, social media buzzed once again. Media outlets shared and spread it, countless netizens flooded my comments section. I breathed a sigh of relief, finally feeling my tense nerves relax. It was Anna who called me next, lightly saying, "I just resigned. You probably haven't eaten yet, right? What would you like to eat? I'll bring it to you." So, with luxurious takeout in hand, Anna became the first person to visit my new home. Seeing Anna carrying so much, I felt a bit embarrassed. "This meal is on me. You've helped me a lot. We can go out for dinner when the storm subsides," I said. Anna waved it off generously as she unpacked the takeaway, saying, "Howard asked me to pass this on to you. He said he couldn't reach you since you blocked him. I'm not here to speak for him, but I did misunderstand him in the live stream incident. Let me clarify for him." After clearing her throat, Anna changed her tone, saying, "I am straightforward and won't stoop to being a small person like Samuel. I briefly interacted with Howard and found him a bit aloof, but not a bad person. If you want to find Howard, I understand. No matter what, I still hope you can go with me. I promise to offer you 20% more on the terms you suggested and find you an elite handsome guy to outshine Howard in every way," Anna said as she handed me the takeout box. "That's a deal then. I'll go with you," I smiled and accepted the offer. Anna paused for a moment, then excitedly leaped up, hugged me tightly, and said, "I promise, we'll have a better and brighter future." Despite this, I did meet Howard once a week after the drama ended. Things on the internet come and go quickly, especially with their highly efficient legal letters, so my real life was hardly affected. Meeting Howard in person, we decided to meet at the house where he used to live rather than in a public place. It had only been less than a month since I left, but returning here again, I felt like I had entered a different world. Howard kept the house very clean, and as he noticed my eyes scanning the corners, he awkwardly boasted, "I clean every day." It seemed like Howard wasn't very busy lately. I politely responded and sat on the sofa. Thankfully, Eric's coding skills had improved a lot recently. Howard went to pour me some water, saying, "Eric and several of my colleagues have praised your responses. I think they're great too." In front of me was a cup of oolong tea, my favorite. I offered my thanks and didn't touch the tea on the table, looking at Howard sitting across from me, grateful for the evidence he provided. I slightly leaned forward and sincerely thanked Howard, who seemed to light up for a moment, with a familiar smile creeping up on his face. "I just handed the weapon to the most suitable person who unleashed its full power," I said. Howard consciously deepened his smile, trying to appear friendlier. "Let's keep in touch then, I won't bother you." Our interaction with Howard seemed to have swapped roles, as I could tell he was trying to provide emotional value. I stayed silent, making the previous praise feel even more awkward. I closed my eyes, then opened them, finally speaking in the coldest tone I could muster. Howard, we've broken up. I don't love you anymore. Plus, I'm moving out tomorrow and probably won't come here again, except for work trips. Howard was stunned by my decision to leave, forcing a forced smile that looked like he was about to cry. I've heard from your colleagues that you plan to start a company together, which is great. I wish you all the best and go wherever you want, I said before walking away. Before leaving, I softly called his name one last time, Howard. I wish we had met in the present from the beginning. And with that, I left firmly, heading towards my own, broader, and more magnificent future. Howard's roommate invited him to dinner but ended up dragging him to a bar, sitting at a booth with strangers. In the end, his roommate finally confessed under Howard's icy gaze. At a joint gathering organized by several nearby universities, my high school friend reluctantly helped me connect with someone as I needed to bring one more person for the event. Howard knows how skewed the male-to-female ratio is at our school. I just wanted to experience sweet campus romance. Howard expressionlessly pulled Jack's hand away, tightly holding it, stating flatly, "But I don't want a romantic relationship." Jack snapped his fingers, "So I chose to drag you here as a prop." Howard eventually sat down stone-faced, but in practice, he realized the main reason for being single was his own doing, causing awkward small talk among other guys and eventually silencing the female students. While other tables were lively, one seemed particularly dull and awkward. That's when Amy showed up. She and her friends came, and she was wearing a stunning red spaghetti strap dress, with her dark brown curls making her stand out. She greeted everyone warmly and started engaging in conversations naturally, chatting about current trends and recent movies, areas Howard was not familiar with. Several girls laughed at her jokes, and soon the guys joined in the conversation. From the moment she sat down, the atmosphere suddenly became lively. They decided to play a bluffing game, and Howard remained silent. Amy thought he didn't know how to play and didn't want to say it out loud, so she intentionally struck up a conversation with him at some point. The seating arrangement got messed up, with Howard's roommate leaving for the restroom, so Amy naturally moved over and sat beside Howard. As she sat down, Howard caught a pleasant fragrance, feeling his heart race inexplicably, unable to explain his behavior. Since Amy entered, he couldn't take his eyes off her. She was bright and lively, but he felt a bit scared because of his unusual behavior, so he deliberately avoided looking at her. So when Amy asked him why he wasn't playing dice, Howard inexplicably replied to her with hostility, "I didn't come here to date." She paused for a moment, then smiled and pointed to her friend, "Me neither. I was dragged here by her. She said she would help me with calculus if I came." Howard felt strange hearing her answer, so he just responded with an "oh." Then he awkwardly followed up with her initial question, "I don't know how to play dice, let me teach you." Amy explained the rules of the game to Howard, and he listened carefully. She said it's okay if he didn't understand, after 2 rounds he would get it. Howard pondered, this seems like a probability problem. As a new round was about to begin, she handed the dice and dice cup to Howard, encouraging him, "Don't worry, give it a try, beginners have beginner's luck." Howard shook his head, "I don't believe in luck, but this can be calculated." "Then believe in me," Amy looked up at him, with a confident smile and shining bright eyes. Howard seemed to be deaf to all other sounds, his heart pounding, a dash of color breaking into his calm world, an emotion he had never experienced before, emerging. Howard was a person who valued efficiency. After realizing his feelings, he quickly devised a strategy and took action to show her his strengths. So, when they had to drink for losing at dice, Howard stopped Amy from drinking the soda mixed with alcohol. He earnestly said, "When soda enters your body, it releases carbon dioxide, which accelerates the diffusion of alcohol, making you more likely to get drunk." "So?" Amy tilted her head. Howard handed her a glass of wine again, saying seriously, "You can drink this." Everyone suddenly laughed. Amy was also amused. Her friend teased, "I thought you would say, 'I'll drink for you.'" Howard realized, calmly adding, "I can drink for her too." He then finished the drink in his glass, wiped his mouth awkwardly. When Amy lost again and was about to drink, Howard was ready to drink for her. She moved the glass away, pointing to her face, "You're blushing." I'm not drunk, alcohol just shows on my face. Howard belched slightly, then hurriedly covered his mouth, apologizing. Well, how about this, next round I'll help you with the probabilities. Howard stepped behind her, saying softly. Or you could say, borrow some beginner's luck after that. Amy never lost again. She praised Howard excitingly, you're really good at this. Howard modestly adjusted his glasses and said, it's just basic probability theory, I had to calculate a bit. If you want to know the process, I can write it down for you. Howard was secretly pleased, finally able to demonstrate his skills. Amy's friend drawled, what a coincidence, Amy has been worrying about not being able to do probability lately. In the end, they changed the penalty from drinking to playing truth or dare. Howard had no excuses to help her anymore. In the final round, Amy lost and chose truth. She drew a question, choose the one you like, or the one who likes you. Without hesitation, she replied, the one I like. What if that person doesn't like you? Until I no longer like him. Amy put on a struggling face, then burst into laughter. Her friend hugged her playfully, she has so much love, I've known her since junior high, she really pours her heart out for friends. More laughter ensued. As the time was almost up, everyone left happily. Regardless of whether the gathering was successful, it was quite enjoyable. They laughed and said they should meet again sometime. Howard followed behind Amy and her friend, hesitating on how to exchange contact information. Go on, didn't you say you wanted a boyfriend good at calculus? I think he's pretty good. Her friend nudged Amy quietly, her eyes lighting up when she saw Howard behind them. Can he walk you back? Amy seems a bit tipsy, and our directions are different. Let's exchange contact information first, and let him know when we reach. Amy's friend smoothly had everyone exchange contact information, then pushed Amy towards Howard, saying her school was nearby, and ran off with a sly smile. Amy, Howard read the name on the phone screen and repeated it. I'll remember. Howard said solemnly. They walked side by side, a great chance for them to be alone, but Howard remained silent. Amy felt the guy was too straight-laced, but in a cute way. She admitted she mainly found him attractive because of how he helped her play dice. Her science skills were lacking, and she inexplicably admired those good at math. Remembering how he whispered numbers confidently in her ear, she blushed quietly. On a mild summer night, with a slight chill in the air, Amy sneezed in her dress. Howard quickly walked a bit ahead of her. At first she thought he wanted to walk faster, so she quickened her pace, but as she caught up, he moved in front of her, blocking the wind for her. Amy stopped in her tracks. Why are you walking so fast? Howard replied, explaining, the wind is coming from the front, I'm wearing a short-sleeved shirt today, I don't have a coat to lend you, so by walking in front, I can shield you from the wind. Amy laughed at his words, her dimples trembling on her left cheek. She looked so beautiful when she smiled, vibrant and lively in that moment. Howard hoped she could always be this happy. When the surroundings calmed down again, Howard, who had never been so nervous for exams, whispered softly, I'm really good at calculus. It took Amy a moment to react, and she replied slowly, didn't you say you didn't want to date? But then I met you. The wind tousled Howard's clothes, he felt a bit embarrassed yet determined, I like you. Epilogue, I didn't expect that taking you along just to make up the numbers for the blind date event would actually lead to you getting into a relationship. That event ended up being the last blind date event I attended in China. Jack went abroad during his junior year and stayed there all this time. He only returned this year and is now working for a famous financial magazine. Back then, I actually had a crush on Amy. She really stood out at that blind date event, and by the time I came back from the restroom, you two were already sitting together. Jack reminisced about the past, but seeing Howard's serious expression, he immediately stopped talking. After all, they still had to interview Howard. Interviewing Howard is quite difficult to arrange now, as it is said that Howard's company is about to go public and everyone wants to get some information from him. After the interview, Howard cooperated by taking photos for the interview. An employee quietly asked Jack if he was close to Howard when they were in school. Jack looked at Howard, who was being photographed, shook his head with a smile and said, he's not close to anyone. During our school days, he had that kind of aloof vibe, but he owes me a favor. Soon he will owe me another favor. This is an invitation to the reception upstairs that many media and public relations professionals will attend. After the photos, Jack handed Howard an invitation and casually added, Amy will be there too. Her company is doing very well right now and has a good reputation in the industry. Thanks. Howard took the invitation, sincerely thanked Jack and said, if you need anything next time, I'll help. Don't forget to involve us in magazine interviews. It's not easy for old classmates to switch careers. Jack patted his shoulder, you've changed a lot since then. Howard, feeling nervous after a long time, acknowledged the sweaty palms. It's been 2 years since he last met Amy. He had been keeping an eye on her progress and saw her and Anna establish a successful company in the industry. They seized opportunities for high-profile projects and collaborations with international clients, rapidly growing. Initially, Howard tried to discreetly introduce clients to them through his connections, but soon they earned recognition on their own merits. Howard had no reason to intersect with Amy again. He missed her terribly but didn't dare to disturb her based on his memories. He bought duplicate items of things she left in his home and placed them back in their original spots, as if she just stepped out and hadn't left. He thought about Amy a lot, so he remembered an unused email address of hers. It became his outlet to express his yearning, just like writing a diary. He sent emails every day. He knew the email was defunct, but he started off cautiously, sending simple greetings like good morning and good night. Later, he became more daring, sharing his daily life with her gradually. I think I understand now why couples chat about trivial daily things a lot. There's no real significance, but chatting itself brings happiness, just like me sending emails without responses now, feeling a long-lost peace inside. Congratulations on your company winning the award. I still don't really understand love. I try to mimic what they say is being a good boyfriend, buying flowers every day, a handbag of a certain brand every week, practicing interaction with you in the air. Ended up getting dragged by Eric to see a psychologist. The psychologist told me that love isn't a math problem and everyone's situation is different. Love doesn't have a standard answer, but you are my only answer. Amy, in a red dress, moved gracefully through the reception, confident and radiant. Howard remembered their first meeting. Amy seemed more like herself after leaving him. Jack took a glass of wine and greeted Amy. He purposely teased her, saying they had met before. He thought Amy wouldn't remember him, but to his surprise, she accurately recalled his name after a brief thought. Jack. We met at the blind date event, right? Jack smiled and brought Howard over, saying, this time I brought my roommate. Unlike Howard's nervousness, Amy remained calm. She seemed unsurprised and greeted Howard warmly. Hello, Howard. Howard awkwardly extended his hand to shake hers, thinking, this seems like a good start. They even chatted for a while, mainly about media-related matters between Jack and Amy, giving Howard no chance to interject. Amy joked about how managing media relationships was not easy and said she would buy them all if she had the money. Howard raised an eyebrow. After Amy left, Howard stood still, watching her depart. Amy, a bit unsteady in her long dress, hadn't even had a chance to move when a tall, handsome young man came over to support her. Amy looked surprised at the newcomer, and they exchanged familiar words, walking toward an empty balcony together. It's okay, as long as Amy likes it. Howard retracted his step forward. Jack nudged him, you're grinding your teeth. Were you showing off how good you are at math back then? Do you want to go inside? It's chilly out here. I'm fine. I'll sit here a bit longer, get some fresh air. You should go find your sister, she'll be happy to see you. Anna's brother had quietly returned from abroad and made a surprise appearance at the reception. Mike nodded, I'll come find you later. Amy was staring down at her shoes, lost in her thoughts, and a shadow fell over her. She thought it was Mike again, so she looked up with a smile, you're back so soon? To her surprise, it was Howard who had approached. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded, I've been here all along. Amy felt a bit embarrassed for mistaking him and didn't know how to reply, so she remained silent. Howard was the first to speak, my company is going public. Amy politely responded, congratulations. You can have all my shares, and you'll make a lot of money. Then you can buy the media. In a low voice, Howard said, "This is all I have now. Maybe you need it." Amy was speechless at his words, and then a gust of wind blew by, causing her to sneeze. Quickly, Howard took off his suit jacket and draped it over her. He squatted halfway down, carefully buttoning up the jacket. Looking at Amy, Howard softly asked, "Does this feel like we're back at the beginning again?" Howard waited for her response, just like he had done countless times before. It didn't matter. He could wait forever.